let's get right into it. Episode 596 of the Sold Not For Sale podcast. Let's just get into it. It is the fight companion, Joe Rogan and the boys, Sam Tripoli, Brian Callen, Brendan Schaub, all of them sitting down together, just talking about random stuff. And in this clip, they are asking Sam about a theory that he feels is going to happen. And of course, I listened to this beforehand, and I just had to quickly verify if it's happening or if it's happened already. And it seems like Sam is right. Now, the theory I have, based on what Sam is saying, is this could be how, not how the election is won, because that's how some people think about the issue of immigration, but how the current people in power are going to stay in power. And I'll explain that after we listen to Sam really quick. But Sam has a good theory, and yeah, okay, it's happening. So let's get right into it. Before I do, of course, I have to bring you to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com. We have first here the Public Enemy #1 shirt. Google the World Economic Forum. Google Agenda 2030. You'll see why this gentleman is Public Enemy #1. You can get that in a hoodie as well, because it is getting cold for some of you. And we have the Certified Pure Blood shirt. For those of you that survived the pandemic unscathed, untainted, stay strong as you have already. You may be tested again. Get your certificate of achievement with this shirt. And right here we have the Sold Not For Sale, the one that started it all. We also have that in tank tops, t-shirts for men and women, hoodies, even mugs. So you can get that at IamCoachColin.com. Even this shirt, the color version. I don't know if everybody wants the black and white. I love a good black and white. Now, if you want 10% off of anything you just saw, all you got to do is put in the discount code, I am Coach Colin. That's it. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin, gets you 10% off. If you've done that with us already, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. Now let's get into this clip. Listen to this theory that Sam has. Very interesting theory.
Stream of all
you
news.
You had a conspiracy for us at dinner, but Joe made you wait. What was it?
Oh yeah, that's right. What was it?
You want? Well,
which one was it?
What's going to happen?
Oh yeah, he goes, you want to know what's going to happen? Yeah.
With what?
In this country.
Okay, yeah, I said
yeah.
So
you want to hear now?
Yeah.
Tap me in.
We're in the Bolshevik War right now, bro. And right now what's coming up is all the pride stuff is going to be, okay, so I had this woman come on my podcast. Her name's Mel K. And we had gotten in real trouble on this show before because we talked about this one family that I will not name, okay? And every time we named this family, the 4 tech gods all came down and just fucked my show. Just
the Rothschilds?
All of, no.
Hey,
I'm not saying their name, bro.
Brian's trying to tank his own show.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That's how much he loves the deep state.
So she comes out again. We just mentioned what happened on the show. They do it to us again. We just mentioned their name. You remember when we talked about them? And it happens again.
Damn.
So
what are they doing when this happens? Let me say they do this to you. What do they do to you?
Okay, so on Apple, Google, Twitter, and Facebook all effed me.
How so?
Like shadow ban, suppression?
No, even worse.
So?
Even worse. So on Apple, they listed my podcast that no one listened to it for they showed nobody listening to the podcast.
So they block people from listening to it?
No,
They won't
like
show
when
the
you go
downloads.
to see what how your podcast is doing, it listed nobody. Not just one episode, multiple episodes. I got strikes and deletes on my YouTube channel and all my Facebooks. I couldn't get into my Facebook.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was just like boom, 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 all on one thing when I named
And
this.
what did you mention that this family had done that was so
they,
egregious?
This is funny because it involves something to Brian, that basically this family is so rich that people think that the CFR is just basically their board of trustees
What's
of all
CFR?
their companies. The
Council of
CFR.
Foreign Relations.
Oh, sorry.
They're
Come
your
on, dude.
babysitters, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. What are we talking about, though? Right?
They're the people that taught you how to jerk off.
Yeah. They're the ones who taught you how to tie your fucking shoes
My
and shit.
favorite is Joe's like, you don't believe in conspiracies because you love your dad. Remember?
So Mel K,
Facts.
Mel K comes on my show, and she's like, she goes, I've been talking to some people in the intelligence, and they go, this gay pride stuff is going away, and the next thing you're going to see are immigration riots. This is going to be right around the next election. So, hand to God, we do this episode. Next day, Starbucks is like, we're banning all the pride stuff. And now you start seeing these, they're putting little breadcrumbs out, man. Little breadcrumbs. Oh, I saw this one thing in Chicago. Oh, yeah, illegal immigrants are upset about where they're staying. And these illegal immigrants who speak no English are holding up perfectly written English signs saying we're tired of how we're being treated. And now you're starting to see this over and over again. Eric, so everyone's always like, when all these Republican governors are like sending these immigrants all over the country, everyone's like, yeah, you're showing those Democrats. Bro, they're moving assets. I know it sounds crazy, but that is 100
What do you mean they're moving assets? What do you mean?
Dude, these guys coming into the country, bro, have you seen them? A lot of them are Chinese, and a lot of them are military-age people. Too. And I'm telling you, they're moving, and this is what's going to be right around 2024 election. Immigration riots, people going nuts, and as listen to this, and you'll start seeing all the little breadcrumbs being put out.
May I give you another scenario?
Oh, no.
May I give you another possible scenario? I hate to piss on your parade. What if we do have open borders? Thank you, Joe Biden, and a complete disaster down the border, and so governors like Greg Abbott are going, how about you guys want a taste of what we're dealing with? Hey, New York, here you go. They bust 13,000 immigrants in New York. Eric Adams goes, we don't have the resources for this.
Yeah, Brian.
And that's a good way to teach the blue states to change their border policies.
That's what they want you to think. That's how you get into
This is Brian. Look, I'm a puppet master.
I'm telling you, that's what they want you to think.
You're buying it.
Oh, I thought
they're
I was
moving assets, bro.
You're the puppet.
They're moving assets.
What do you mean, like military people?
Dude, study the Bolshevik War. It is happening in real time. 100%.
But
I just wanted to get that out to everybody because I'm trying to warn people. This is what's next.
Do you believe?
Now, that's a very interesting theory. Brian Callen, of course, is always just talking nonsense. It was amazing. He didn't even know what he was about to say. It was like he was just saying it as it was coming out of his mouth. And he just said things that are happening. What if this mayor sent this person a bunch of immigrants? Like, yeah, that's what's happening. But it doesn't change the fact of who's actually coming in. Now, let's just check into what Sam's saying really quick, because he's talking about riots happening. So I was like, that's an odd thing to say is happening right now, or going to be happening. But, and maybe you've even heard of all this going on right now. But like, check this out, right? This is actually happening. There's a bunch of these stories. Obviously, you know that there's a bunch of people, immigrants coming in by the tens of thousands every single day. Of course, everybody knows that's happening. RFK's even covered it. RFK was even at the border making a video about it. But, immigrants march into downtown Chicago, demand citizenship and more. Chicago residents sound off on illegal immigrants in the neighborhood. They disrespect us. They rob us. They harass us. Edgewater residents resist Chicago migrants moving into Broadway Armory. Leaders want more resources. Protest rally for the better treatment of migrants at Chicago police stations. I can't believe they have them in police stations. That's so wild. So wild. Then this one I couldn't even play for you, but a protest over migrants in NYC turns violent. Literally, the scene that Sam is setting was actually going on in New York. I can't even play it for you because YouTube will right away stop that from happening. And then we have this actual video where some residents in Chicago are getting to their wits' end, and they're making it very clear that they're not going to put up with this anymore. Here, check this video out. Let me make myself a little smaller, but check out what these guys have to say.
Longer have any of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance for the disruptive behavior by those seeking asylum here. It's making them feel unsafe.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
And their patience is wearing thin.
Let me say this. They got one more time to deal with it, because otherwise, next time they deal with it, they're going to deal with it from the streets. We're going to take over it. Nobody's going to be able to stop us from what we're going to do to them.
Much of the residents' anger was directed at city officials in attendance, including 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, Chicago Deputy Police Chief Stephen Chung, and Family and Support Services Commissioner Brandy Kanazi. At one point, police had to intervene, breaking up an argument during public comment. Many of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance.
Well, that's what's going on in Chicago. But this is happening in a lot of different places. Now, these people are at their wits' end. They're ready to actually start doing something to these people. Let me see if I can find the actual article, because these people were talking about something completely different. Let's go here. Yes, there it is. There it is. Let me make sure that's in the screen view. These people are talking about the actual behavior of these people, of these immigrants that are there. It says, tell the issue about the people outside, the people who are outside threatening residents. Tell them about the trafficking that's happening. Tell them about the dealing that's happening. They're outside smoking. They're outside having whole parties right in front of the senior building. And the police are scared, let's be honest. So this is this is actually happening. They're actually, now it's not quite full-blown riots, but there's major tension between immigrants right now and a lot of residents. This is happening in New York. This is happening in Chicago. It's happening in a lot of, obviously, left-leaning cities, states. A lot. That's where it's going to be happening first. Now, for me, when I look at that, again, I'm always gravitating towards the attack within. That's what's happening. Right now, these residents are getting pushed to the edge because of things that these mayors and these politicians, these Democrat politicians are putting on them. They're making sure that there's a bunch of immigrants, tens of thousands of immigrants. They're getting to the point, that man in Chicago, he said, listen, we're going to start handling this ourselves. If that starts happening, it's not going to quite be a civil war type of scenario, but it's going to be fighting in the streets. Now, for me, when I look at that, if that happens on a large enough scale, the party that's in power right now, if this happens near election time, which it's nearing election time, these tensions are happening now, who knows what it's going to look like by the time the actual election is going on. If they're able to look at this situation that's happening, if it's happening in more and more places, more and more frequencies, thousands of people actually having these type of fights and riots in the streets, they'll be able to declare an emergency. And whoever's in power will have to stay in power during that emergency. You won't be able to have an election. Now you say, like, well, that's not quite true. Now take on top of that the situation that's happening in Ukraine. Now, Tucker Carlson even said this a few weeks ago in Adam Carolla's podcast. He was like, they're going to start a hot war with Russia. And if they start a hot war with Russia, what ends up happening? They're going to be able to declare an emergency. They're doing two things that could possibly keep them in power. And when I say they're doing it, it's because they're the ones giving Ukraine all this money. They're the ones that are pissing Russia off. They're the ones who are allowing all these immigrants in by the tens of thousands every single day. They're the ones who know that these states don't have the resources to deal with them. They're the ones who can see that these tensions are building between the citizens of the United States and these people who are from everywhere and anywhere. And then you couple it in with what Sam's saying about how these people are like moving assets. And there probably could be some of that going on. But I'm even talking about without that going on. They're mixing up this pot that could possibly keep them in power. Because it seems like, and anybody can tell, Trump's going to win this election. Obviously. I mean, it's very clear. He doesn't go to jail, he wins the election. End of story. Especially if he beats these indictments, if he beats them, there's going to be people celebrating in the streets. People are going to be partying if they see that the guy that they've wanted this whole time all of a sudden has beat the system again. And now all of a sudden is sprinting towards becoming the president. They have no choice. So I think they're kind of stirring up these two separate pots, one that's abroad and one that's within the country. And if both go off at the same time, how can the United States not say that they're in some kind of state of emergency? And then from there, whoever's in power has to stay in power. And then let's say Biden can't handle being in power much longer. Let's say anything happens. Kamala takes over. and we go from there. I don't know. It just, but what I can say for sure is what Sam just said is definitely happening. And when it comes to the Bolshevik War, because he mentioned that, and I was looking into that a little bit, that's an episode I'm going to do with the wife. I'm going to have her research that a bunch because I want to actually have a real handle on what that is. But for the most part, Sam's right. He seems right, because when's the last time you heard anything about the LGBTQ community? Negative or positive? You haven't been really hearing much about that. You've been hearing more about the immigrant issue. Now, did those people go away? No. Did black people go away after BLM faded away? No. But they move on to the next thing. I don't know. I also think this is happening because the same old playbook that always happens around election time, and you can look into this and see. The old playbook of trying to pit white people and black people against each other right around election time, it's wearing thin. People aren't falling for it anymore. There's too many black people who support Trump. You know, there's a bunch of rappers who have come forward saying, like, the hood is embracing Trump, especially since the mugshot came out. So they can't play that game anymore. They can't play the whole race game anymore. They even tried that a few months ago. There was a whole Twitter thing going on. You know, white people aren't safe in the streets. Black people are lunging at white people. White people need to move as far away as they can. There was a whole thing going on. It didn't work. So now they got to move on to something else. If you notice, within this system, look, within this scenario, you're seeing there's black and white people coming together because there's this outside entity flooding the streets, the immigrants. So I shouldn't even say black and white people coming together, Americans coming together, because they're on their land and these people are coming from everywhere and anywhere. And, you know, some of them are demanding citizenship. Some of them are demanding better treatment. They're demanding food. They're demanding shelter. That woman said they're harassing us and robbing us. I don't know. Sam's on to something, definitely. Sam Tripoli, ladies and gentlemen. He's not right about everything, but there's a lot of things that he hits right on the head. This seems to be one of them. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this, if you think that's actually going on. If you're experiencing it all in your state, if you're experiencing these people flooding in, and what behaviors you're seeing from them, let me know in the comments. If you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. We're making 1 to 3 videos a day, and I don't know many other people doing that. Other than that, I'm out.